Donald Trump has now set his sights on all Caribbean countries and threatening sanctions. Why is he doing this? He said that whoever accepts any doctors from Cuba will be labeled a human trafficking country, and he will sanction them and take away any visas from all politicians. But this goes deeper than this. This is not just something he was throwing out there. Cuba has some of the best doctors globally. They have some of the most. They also have the most doctors globally because they have sent doctors all over the world to aid in any emergency. Or at the drop of a hat, he can take up 50 doctors and send them. Because why? It's school is free in Cuba all the way up to as high as they want to go. So hence the reason why they have so many doctors. But and their doctors are also all over the Caribbean. But let's take a listen to the response from some of the Caribbean leaders who responded to Donald Trump threatening sanctions if they don't kick out the Cuban doctors or if they use any Cuban doctors. Take a listen to the Prime Minister of Trinidad first. He gave a rebuttal to what Trump said. Take a listen. Boom.
Rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in a program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
So that's the Prime Minister of Trinidad, and I love the fact that he's sticking by his people. But before we elaborate, let's take a listen now to the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines. He also shot back at Donald Trump. Take a listen. Boom.
The Secretary of State of the United States of America has issued a statement that countries which are complicit in his words with trafficking in persons and exploiting Cuban professionals, the doctors and engineers who come, that those who are complicit will lose their passport, they will lose their visas and their families. And if he knows the facts, I'm sure that he will understand that we are not involved in that. But if it is determined that you have to take away my visa and Eloise's visa, I want to say this publicly. It could be reported. I'm not looking for a fight with anybody, but we have to be honest and open. The hemodialysis which we do in St. Vincent at the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center with these 60 persons, without the Cubans there, I will not be able to offer that service. So, does anybody expect that I to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
So that's the Prime Minister there. And so far, so good. But I have one more Prime Minister I wanted to listen to. Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados, one of our leading Prime Ministers in the Caribbean. Take a listen to her take on this as well. Boom.
This matter with the Cubans and the nurses should tell us everything that we need to know. Barbados does not currently have Cuban medical staff or Cuban nurses, but I will be the first to go to the line and to tell you that we could not get through the pandemic without the Cuban nurses and the Cuban doctors. I will also be the first to tell you that we paid them the same thing that we pay Bajans, and that the notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the US, but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it. But what matters to us is principles. And I have said over and over that principles only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by it. Now, we don't have to shout, but we can be resolute. And I therefore look forward to standing with my CARICOM brothers. I wish I could say brothers and sisters, but brothers, to be able to ensure that we explain that what the Cubans have been able to do for us, far from approximating itself to human trafficking, has been to save lives and limbs and sight for many a Caribbean person.
So there you have it. The fact that these leaders can come out together and we are standing firm on their choice of using Cuban doctors in their countries this is this is an applaudable moment and a teachable moment to all other Caribbean countries to follow suit. If, as me myself, I'm a Jamaican, if Prime Minister Andrew Holiness does not come out and rebut this stupid, or basically give up his visa and protect his people, we definitely, I'm going to use my platform at every chance I get to make sure he's not re-elected in the next election, because he should be one of the first ones to come out against um this ridiculous sanction that Trump is trying to push. Anyway, why is it this is not just about he's trying to separate Cuba from the world, because remember from in the 50s, from since Fidel Castro's time, let me look at backstory. They have him as they label Cuba, Fidel Castro, as a communist and as a terrorist because they have him on the terrorist list for decades. President Biden took Cuba off the list and eased some restrictions, and they're allowing cruise ships now to go to Cuba to dock and receiving tourists. And I know, but now Trump cut that and said nope. Any country that accept the doctors will be labeled a trafficking country, human trafficking country, and they will hence be sanctioned. This is what the US do. They always find some trumped up charge to sanction African countries and Caribbean countries. And these are the two main things they use. They either come with this trafficking nonsense or the LGBTQ so-called human rights nonsense. This is what they use to target the African continent and now the Caribbean countries. Cuba is one of the only countries in the Western Hemisphere that actually send doctors and medicines to Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, St. Kitts and the Grenadines, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, Statia. So I could go on and on. Dominican Republic, Haiti. I could go on and on and on. And not only that, when I was going to school in the late 80s, early 90s, when I finished school, if I wanted to go to study for any kind of medical, anything medical, optician, dentist, surgeon, plus anything I want to do, Cuba was giving free scholarship to Jamaican kids and Caribbean kids in general. But I'm talking about Jamaica because I'm from Jamaica and I've known this for a fact. I'm telling you this because it's not that I heard, it's what I know. And you could go over there and you could study for free. It costs some money, obviously, but generally it's not like going into the States. And they do everything they can to separate the Caribbean countries from Cuba, even though Cuba has one of the most helpful countries when it comes on to aiding the doctors and nurses. Even during apartheid, Fidel Castro sent doctors to Africa, to South Africa, specifically to help our brothers and sisters at that time, prior to 1994, when during the apartheid season. apartheid times. And other African countries, there's a lot. Ethiopia, they send doctors to Ethiopia. They accept students from all over the African students from all over the world, from all over the continent to come to Cuba to study as well for free. But again, there is some cost because you have room, rent, home, food, and etc., and living expenses. So that's different. So how is it now America want us to turn our back and the one country who have never turned their backs against us? This is the definition of being loyal to our own. We don't America is not the only country in the world. America is one of them. And if they continue on this trajectory that they're doing, picking fight with everyone, they're going to be left out in the cold at some point because people, look, this is what causing the BRICS to join. And Donald Trump is also threatening Jamaica. If they join BRICS, what are you going to do? So you see, they want to be the bully of the world and the bully and to bully the entire Caribbean. But as I always say that the Caribbean countries can do without America because we we produce our we can maintain our own ecosystem if we trade with each other and cooperate with each other. But no, we cannot. The US did a brilliant job in dividing the Caribbean countries so they don't come together. Because if they do, every country have something specific that they produce. For instance, Jamaica we had bauxite, we had sugarcane. Guyana have flour, rice. Dominica has all kind of provision from banana to anything from the ground. And we have the Spice Island, which is the is Saint Vincent. They have all kind of spices. We have rivers, so we don't have to worry about water, if anything. So Trinidad is a mega producer of almost for a lot of produce that's circulating in the Caribbean. So we have the capability to be self-sustaining if we can just cooperate and come together. But no, we are so separated and fragmented. It's and this what works for the US. That's the main um go to when it comes down to division is dividing nations so that they don't come together and realize their full potential so that they cannot turn their back against the US. And who cares about their visa? We have a whole entire African continent we can go and visit with beautiful countries, beautiful sceneries, way more beautiful and prettier than even the States. Why you want to go to a place where where you're discriminated against? Why not go to somewhere where you can see your own kind? Even the Caribbean, we Caribbean people does discriminate against amongst ourselves by making it so difficult for us to travel to some Caribbean countries. I can attest to that. So we need to come together and try to build our own ecosystem so we can tell the US when they come with this kind of talk, we don't need you. We can go elsewhere. You need us more than how we need you because they need our Caribbean seas to do certain things. So without our seas, they cannot do certain things. So again, we are not fully coming to the realization of the power the Caribbean has, just like the African continent. If we can have more people like Mia Matley and also President Ibram Traore, we can accomplish great things. Mia Matley is one of my shining light in the Caribbean when it comes down to prime ministers because she have done wonders in her short tenure as prime minister of Barbados by becoming first by just becoming a sovereign country, being fully autonomous, independent from the king, from the empire of the English. Jamaica, we are not fully independent. We are not sovereign. We are still beholden to the king. Even though we have independence since 1962. On paper, we are, but in reality, we're not. So anyway, so let me know what you think about these prime ministers turning their backs on the US, telling they keep a visa. We're gonna continue working with our Cuban brothers and sisters because the US don't send doctors or nurses in the Caribbean to help at no point during no at no time they ever do that. So why should we turn our backs on who help us and then suck up to who does not do anything for us? And but all they do is use the World Bank, the IMF, and cripple our economies and bring our country, these Caribbean countries to their knees. And we must wise up and get free. And Bob Marley said it best. No one but ourselves can free our mind. We have to break ourselves away from this mental slavery, this colonial thinking. This includes our leaders, mostly our leaders, because they have to lead the way for us to follow. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section about the Caribbean countries so far, some of them standing up to the US when it comes down to turning our backs against our brothers and sisters in Cuba. Let's hope Jamaica come through quick. And as soon as Jamaica give out any kind of press briefing, I will let you guys know where my country stand and if they stand with the US or they stand with the Caribbean brothers and sisters. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Stefan. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Boom.